Minus 1 point. Alright, so today what we're going to learn about is special products. Now, we have multiplied these before. Where, do you guys remember when we had a plus b quantity squared? When we just had something that looked like this?
How do we calculate?
When it said, like, x plus 2 squared? And we had a formula for how to do this? And we ended up with this. So what you're going to...
I'm listening. What do you want me to do? Pay attention.
So what you're going to be doing today is you're going to be looking for the first and last term to be perfect squares. That's what we're looking for the first and last term to be perfect squares. Now, a perfect square can be a variable and it can be a number, but we're looking for the first and the last term to be perfect squares. Does everybody understand? Now, this first one is a perfect square trinomial where we add. And the reason it's a perfect square is because you have a squared and b squared. Does everybody understand? Do you see how we have a squared and b squared? Okay.
So, perfect.
If it has an exponent of 2 or 4 or 6, an even number. What did you do to your foldable?
Folded it the wrong way, bro.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Correct.
Let me see it, dog.
See, I told you Ponce could do it.
It's fine. He can.
He's just as crazy as that.
Okay. Now, please open your Flappy. What we're going to do is we're going to write our process down for how we do this. Is everybody ready? Now, what you do first is you take the square root of the first term and the last term, and you're going to write it. Let's do this. Okay? This is an arrow. I just got excited when I was drawing my arrow, and it went a little crazy. And now it's better. Yeah, make yours an arrow. Take the square root of first and third terms. Now, if you don't remember what a perfect square is, we made a note card about those, right? We did. And we even laminated some of them, and we had it from 1 to 25, and we had all of our perfect squares. Now, to take the square root of a squared is a. Do you see how we have two pluses? That means we're going to have a plus sign in between them. What's the square root of b squared? And then you write a squared. And that's it. That's all you do. Now, you have to make sure that they are perfect squares. You must make sure they are perfect squares. Let's write that down. You must make sure first and third terms are perfect squares. Then you do normal factoring of trinomials. That's a great question. If they're not perfect squares, then you go back to what we've been doing using the star method.
Which way, the first or the...
It depends on if there's a number out front.
Okay.
Alright, so let's look at our problems. For number 1, do we have perfect squares for the first term and the third term?
No.
Maybe.
I mean, yes.
49 is a perfect square.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah. 7.
Oh, no, okay, I understand. Yeah.
Oh,
We're confused at first.
I see that. Do we need to list our perfect squares on the board?
No.
We have our card.
Then let's get our cards out. If you still know where your card is, get your card out. If you don't, then you need to find your card. Look at Jordan go. Jordan, take a point. Look at Austin go. Austin, take a point.
Yeah, I can't get mine myself.
Look at CJ go. CJ, take a point.
Oh, shoot, that's messed up.
That's yours. Look at Jackson go. Jackson take a point. Asbury found hers. Tiara take a point. Alicia take a point.
I got those.
No, you need your card. You're going to make one. Did you find yours? Ava take a point. Alright, now. X squared is always a perfect square. But look at your second column and see if you find 49 on that list.
Nope.
Okay, this is the first column. This is the second
Oh,
column.
I thought you were here.
Now, 49 is on this list. What's the square root of 49?
7.
So all you do is x plus 7 quantity squared. Boom, you're done. That's it. And you can only do this if they are perfect squares. Yeah, y'all are out of point strips again. I'm so sorry. I've got to remember to go make copies today. I'm making myself a note. No. These are perfect squares. If you can take a square root and get a whole number, that's how it's a perfect squares. Point strip for y'all are Slytherin. Alright, let's look at number 2. Is 121 on our second, fourth, or sixth column? It is. It's right here, correct? So what's the square root of 121? 11. So how do we write our parentheses?
X plus 11 squared.
Quantity squared. Now, quantity means parentheses. If we said x plus 11 squared, that would be x plus 11 squared. Right? That's literally what you just said to me. But if we say x plus 11 quantity squared, that means you square the whole thing. You can say quantity.
Saying a new word, apparently.
All right. Now, is 4 a perfect square?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Is 9 a perfect square? Okay, so what's my first part going to be? 2x plus 3 quantity squared. That's it. That's all you do.
Plus 3. Let's see.
Okay, so what I did was I took the square root of 4x squared. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 9 is 3. Right, the middle term goes away when we factor. You remember how when we factor trinomials, we don't worry about the middle term anymore? Because it's two numbers that multiply to give you this and add to give you this. So here what you're doing is 2 times 3 is, and 6 times 2 is. That's how you know you got it right. Alright, so let's check this one. 1 times 11 is. 11 times 2 is. We did that one right. 1 times 7 is. 7 times 2 is. We did that one right. Magic! Look at you go. You just scribbled stuff down on there.
But wait, no, it's the right number. I just, I remember. It goes all the way up to 16.
You don't get a point for that.
I did.
I appreciate your effort, though. Alright, are y'all ready to see what happens when we subtract?
Sure.
So this time, you have a perfect square trinomial, but we're subtracting.
Oh, shoot.
Isn't the same thing, which is
It is, but what's going to be in our parentheses this time?
Okay.
A subtraction, a minus. Take a point. Do what?
No.
If you said it, take a point.
Sweet.
Alright, now, you still do the same
Funny,
thing.
boy, I swear to God.
You take the square root of the first and third terms. Are you writing this down? Your neck doesn't stop you from writing? It doesn't. I know. Survive. No, he doesn't. He's a big baby. Alright, so what's the square root of a squared? If the square root of x squared is x, what's the square root of a squared? Okay, and what's the square root of b squared? And then you subtract them, and it's quantity squared. Now, do you have to make sure that the first and third terms are still put? Yes.
Can you please send Jared Gooden to Mr. Ferris's office?
Yes.
God.
Oh, how come?
Dang.
I'm tired of this, man. I swear to God.
It's recording. Now, do we still have to make sure that they're both perfect squares? Yes. So let's make a note. The first and third term must be perfect squares.
What do we do if they're not perfect?
We just answered that a minute ago. You factor a normal trinomial.
Right. I'm being dumb.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're still in here, so I guess it's okay.
Austin, stop being so mean to Bronson. Do I need to take a point away from you? Are you sure? Now apologize.
I'm sorry, Bronson.
Thank you.
I'll let you be me for that.
Let's look at for. Are you done writing? Write faster.
You want to know what I said? Just go look at the video.
Then maybe you'll understand math.
Yeah, I just point to
You don't understand.
Are you ready now? Okay. All right. So let's look at number 4. Is the first term a perfect square? Is the last term a perfect square?
Yes.
What's the square root of 81?
9.
What's the square root of x squared?
X.
So x minus 9
Quantity squared.
quantity squared. Take a point.
Wait.
We look up how to do this on YouTube. Will it just pop up with?
You can go to.
Why would you look how to do it when
No,
I'm
just
teaching you how to
asking,
do it?
like, will it, or do we have to?
But why would you look up how to do it when I'm teaching you how to do it?
Never mind.
But you don't understand.
Never mind. I picked
Because
the
he
wrong
wants to
time
find a good class.
I picked the wrong time to ask the question.
All right, let's look at this one. Are the first and third terms perfect squares?
Yes.
What is the square root of x squared?
Hey.
What's the square root of 25?
5.
What do I put in the middle?
2.
Minus, and
Quantity
then
squared.
quantity squared.
Squared. Oh, sorry.
I know. Now, last one. Do that one without me.
I just did.
Already did.
I really do.
How do you do oh, do you want it? Found it? Okay. Sorry. You just needed to be near me. It's fine.
I don't even know if it's plus or minus.
If there's a minus sign and then a plus sign, it's minus.
Where could switch to the plus?
Then you would have to do normal factoring trinomials. Star method.
Yeah, but
Who's up now, bro?
did you understand what I said?
Yes, if they're swapped, if the plus and minus signs are swapped, then you have to do your star method
Why? Like, why does it change it?
because it messes the whole pattern up that way. So like this way, if you FOIL it out, you have a negative times a negative and you get a positive, correct? But if you have a plus and minus, then we're going to have to find two numbers that multiply to give us negative 25 and add to give us negative 10.
Yeah, that's too much work.
They divided by the 2.
Or add to give us positive 10. It's not that it's too much work, it's just not going to work if you do it that way. Yes. Alright, tell me the answer.
8 times 6
She's telling me the answer.
3x minus 8 minus
Good, take a point. Yay. Alright, we're ready to do the next Flappy. And then you're going to have some practice problems. And if you finish your practice problems, you don't have homework.
Oh, sweet.
How many practice problems are we going to do?
I don't know yet. Yep.
Dang it.
Alright, so now, what is the difference in this problem than our other two problems?
There's only 2 of them.
There's only 2 of them. Are they both perfect squares?
Yes.
Yes, they are. This time, you still take the square root of both of them, but you write it as a plus b times a minus b. So you still take the square root. They still have to be perfect squares, but you write a plus b and a minus b. We're ready to do these problems. Alright, now, are x and 36 both perfect squares? Yes. Alright, what's the square root of x? Now, if you have this is a good way to remember. If you have 2 terms, you're going to have 2 parentheses. So 2 terms means 2 parentheses. And 2 different signs. So 2 terms means 2 parentheses and 2 different signs. We ready?
Yes. Done.
Okay. So for this one, what's the square root of x squared? X. And what's the square root of 36?
6.
Alright, I have 2 parentheses. So what else do I need?
You need a plus and minus sign.
2 different signs. I know.
So if this one doesn't matter which order goes like subtract those first.
Nope. I just usually write plus first out of habit. The order does not matter. Okay, let's look at number 8. Do I have 2 terms? So how many sets of parentheses do I need?
2.
How many different signs do I need?
2.
What's the square root of x squared?
X.
What's the square root of 100?
10.
Both of you take a point.
Please.
Do the last one without me,
Done.
because he worked ahead. All right, what'd we get?
We got 5x plus 4 and 5x minus 4.
How many of us got it right? Take a point if 2 people at your table got it right. Good job.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Pardon?
Dang it, Henry.
What's the square root of 16? What?
Say you don't get it.
You do or don't? Okay. Alright, turn your paper over to 30B. Let's write down some practice problems. Doo-dah, doo-dah. As soon as oh, it's right beside me. I'm dum.
Practice.
You can get on yours.
Why are you making that face?
I'm pretty sure we always
Alright, 30B. Ugh. I need more room. I need an actual table. When we finish this notebook, yes. Then you can go get a new one, but you need to leave that one in here with me. If you change notebooks, you have to keep, we're not getting rid of our old notebook, because we need it. Know what I mean, Butterbean?
So like next year, keep both next year.
Is this basically like a study guide for like 9 weeks test or something? This whole thing?
I know. I should stop eliminating questions.
Stop.
I don't like any of these problems, so I'm going to make up my own.
So do we
Ooh, you like
A or
this
no?
one.
Yeah, keep A. That's the only one I like out of that book.
Oh.
All right, so x squared plus, let's do, where's my note card?
I think we're gonna have one more.
Okay,
Okay, what?
no, it's just very, very fun.
Why is he screaming? Ah, that was it.
30 or 36.
Would these problems be on Google Classroom?
Mm-hmm. You also have time to write them down. Uno más. Why are we sighing? I can make it more.
Please easy with that. Use
We
the-
can't see it.
Better?
Yeah.